So, hello everyone, and welcome on Minds and Minds podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Karl Meltzer, also known as a Speedgoat. He's one of the big names of ultra running. Karl has shaped the sport of trail running in a unique way. Today, we dive into his journey. Karl, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Mateo. I just got back from a run about an hour ago. I had a little lunch and I'm deciding what I'm going to do the rest of the day. But things are good with me right now. I'm healthy. I'm not injured, which is good. I'm getting too old for this stuff, but it's cool that I can still get out there and do it.
Thank you for being here today. It's really a pleasure to have you on the podcast. So yeah, that's cool that we can do the podcast even if our hours are very different. But
Yeah, I think we're about 8 hours difference. I think in France, wherever you are in France.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's this. Yeah. First, for of the people that might don't know you yet, if you had to introduce yourself in just a few words, who are you?
Karl Meltzer. My nickname is Speedgoat. I run for Hoka, Drymax, First Endurance, and Squirrel's Nut Butter. And I've been running ultramarathons since 1996 was my first race. Over that period of time, 30 years goes by quickly. I've kind of specialized at the 100-mile distance. Ultramarathons in the mountains is more my favorite thing to do. And I've completed 90 of them. I've got 10 more to reach that 100 mile race finishes of 100 of them. Yeah, I'm getting a little old. I can't even speak right. But the bottom line is, yeah, I've been an ultramarathoner for a long time. I've run at a high level for a long time. Um, I'm getting slower now, but I really just love the sport. I love watching others get better at it and get good at it. Watching how fast times come down, and stuff like that. I'm just a geek who likes to run, and life has been I've built my life around it, and it's happy to be here. Happy to be on. It's an honor to be on any podcast, really, just to just talk about my career. It's interesting how it goes around globally. And I'm just a regular guy who likes to run, but it's good. Yeah, I'm just a runner guy, just regular guy, just like anyone else.
I would like to dive directly into your passion for running. How did you first discover trail running, and what hooked you right away?
Well, I think I first discovered trail running. Indirectly when I was young. When I was young, when we grew up, we didn't have phones and all these things that kids have now. We ran around the woods. My neighbors and friends, we raced around the woods, which is kind of funny and crazy, but I'm not going to say that is how I expected my life to go, but that was when I first did it. And fast forward a little bit, as I went through high school and a little bit of college, I moved out west to be a ski bum. Because I love to ski as well. I grew up skiing. I learned how to ski when I was 3, and I ended up moving to Utah to ski for one season, but ended up staying the summer. And when I stayed the summer, I sort of got back to my love of running in the mountains. I was just thinking trails, but I started running around the mountains in Utah, and I just absolutely loved it. I ran in high school and a little bit in college and stuff like that, but mostly my love was just being outdoors. And I really discovered my passion for it that first summer in Utah, where, out of nowhere, I entered a race where I really hadn't trained. My race was in June, and the snow lays around in Utah till almost June. And I won this hill climb at Snowbird Ski Resort, and I'd been running for a couple of weeks. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then I just started doing it every day. And, as the years went by, I started getting into running longer races and things like that. And then after speaking with one of my coworkers in about, I think probably 1995 or so, they suggested I run Wasatch 100.
Mm.
And that was my first ultra. I jumped right into the 100-miler.
Yeah.
Go figure. And I finished the race, and that was just the goal to finish. And then I was just hooked, and 2 years later, I won the race in a record time. And that's when I started to run through my head of like, how can I make a living at this? And I can assure you that no one made much money running around in the 90s. And we still don't really, nobody really makes a lot of money doing it. But at the same time, I just followed my passion. And, it kept kind of like figuring out how I can race all summer or basically all year and still survive. I was bartending at Snowbird Ski Resort from 89 till 2007.
Okay.
And during that time, I just saved my quarters and pennies and raced all summer long. And, eventually I get better at it, started winning, and then kind of discovered that, how do I make, like I said, how do I make a living at this? And you have to live kind of like what I like to call a scumbag. Not really a scumbag or dirty, not dirty, but just kind of, you have to live off, not a really high income. So I learned how to do that. And I think that molded my life for later on too, because it's just a good way, just a good thing to know of how to, you don't have to make millions of dollars to be happy. Right.
Yeah.
And that's how I just started doing it. And now, it's amazing. It's 2025 now. And, 30 years ago, I'd have been like, 2025 is so long ahead of us, but all of a sudden, boom, it clicks and you're here. And I'm almost 58 years old.
Mm.
And I never thought I'd reach this point. But yeah, I've just done it all my life. I love it. And, I've been very fortunate to make some decisions that worked for me. The shoe, many people know the Speedgoat shoe, and Hoka came to me randomly. And a lot of things that happened to me in my life have been sort of random. And, I like to say things have fallen in my lap, and that's the truth. I've been very, very fortunate, and this sport has really taken me a long way in my life, and I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah, it's such an inspiring story to know that, yeah, you really followed your passion and saved every penny to do it, even if you knew that it was not the usual path that everyone is taking. So yeah, that's
Yeah, I
really
used to save quarters in a Cuervo 1800 bottle. Every bottle would have about $125 in
yeah.
quarters. And by the end of the ski season, I'd probably have 10 of those bottles, and that was my summer savings. Not much money, right? But at the same time, it almost felt like bonus money,
Mm.
Yeah, I'm always the kind of person that I learn by doing, and not I'm not going to say by reading the book, but I'm not the best student of the book,
Mm.
but I'm a very good student of learning while doing. And I think for my ultra running career, I've always tried to get better through certain ways of whether it was efficiency or training or whatever. I learned it all by doing, and that's part of my passion of just following my dreams or whatever. I could never take the path of just going to school and getting a job and then having a career till I'm 60 and
Yeah.
retiring, and I just can't do that. I'll live in the street if I have to before I'd have to do that. So yeah, I made the right choice at the end of the day.
And for you, when you began, was trail running more about like competition or connecting really with nature, the mountain?
I would say trail running was about competition. I mean, I'm a competitive guy. There's no question about it. I don't care if I'm throwing darts, playing croquet, playing golf, or whatever, playing frisbee. I'm a competitive person, and when I kind of discovered that, hey, I'm pretty good at this, which was sort of at the Pikes Peak Marathon in the early '90s. I just, yeah, I mean, I want to win. I mean, winning never gets old. I can assure you. It doesn't matter if it's UTMB last 2 weeks ago or whatever,
Mm.
or if it's Joe and Pop's 10K down the road that there's 10 people in. I'm still, my focus is to win. It's just how I'm built and how I'm driven. And I think a lot of competitive athletes are like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, winning's important and all that. But when you don't win and you fail or you don't have your best day or whatever, it's just humbling. But at the same time, it makes you a better person to not win every time, I think, because you learn from your mistakes. You learn from not losing, but for failing or not, winning the race. I've tried to become a very humble person and just try to enjoy. Like you said, the connection with the sport is in the mountains, but the competitiveness is always, no matter what I do, it's just I was built that way. I want to be the fastest guy down the mountain skiing, shoot the lowest round in golf, and be the first guy to the finish line. So it's just how I'm built.
And when you began, did you felt that the community around trail running was different of
The
the other
community around
sports?
trail running
Yeah.
is definitely different than, say, the road running scene. When I was young, even like I ran road races when I was 11, 12 years old. They were just
Mm.
small ones. but it was all road races. My dad ran, so I kind of followed him around, and it was just a road racing scene. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I liked to race. I was competitive, all that. But when I got into the trail running scene, which I'm going to say sort of evolved or sort of started with me with the community when I ran that Wasatch 100, because even some of the shorter trail races sort of had that elbows bumping at the start line.
Mm.
It's real competitive. But you stand at the start line, let's say my first 100, the Wasatch 100, or even any 100 I stood at now, everyone's friends. Everybody wants to see everyone else succeed. It is about winning for the fastest guys and girls out there, maybe, but for 99% of the field, it's about the adventure and about the journey. And the community of trail running and ultra running is just it's very unique. We like to see people do well, and if one of my buddies beats me, or I beat him, or whatever, it's always a big handshake and congratulatory. Let's have a beer
Mm.
afterwards or whatever, instead of I'm going to get you next time.
Mm.
It's just it's a great community. It doesn't matter if you're fast or slow. We're all doing the same. We all hurt out there. We're all doing the same thing. So it really has been a great community. And then also, as a coach too. I mean, I coached a lot of people over the years now for 17 years now. It's crazy. But I mean, I've kind of shown them the way too that this sport it's not so much about how fast you can do it. It's just being able to do it and being out there in the wilderness that
Yeah.
makes it so great. And being able to survive on your own and make decisions on your own and solve problems. I mean, ultra running is nothing but solving problems
Mm.
because no 100-miler goes perfect, right? Like it's just bad patches happen all the time. So you've got to sort of dig your way out of it sometimes. And that's part of the thrill of it too for me is that a 10K you bust it out as fast as you can, 5K as fast as you can, but the 100-mile or even a 50-mile or 50K for some people, it's a problem solving journey,
Mm.
and solve that problem, you feel good about yourself.
You are talking about the UTMB that happened 2 weeks ago. Obviously, you have seen the American and international trail running scene evolve, of course. What do you think of today's trail running?
Well, it's definitely evolved into a big glamorous sport. UTMB, and it's still, if you think of the actual number of trail runners, it's still going to be this small amount compared to,
Yeah.
well, in the US, we've got, everybody loves their football and their baseball and things.
Mm.
Europe is different. I think Europeans, which I like better, they like the individual sport type stuff. Like
Mm.
how many people you see at UTMB cheering people on along the course. I absolutely love that. I think it's the sport has grown. I mean, there's growing pains with any sport. I mean, there's races have lotteries now. You can't get in every race. When I first started running these 100-milers, I would just sign up a month before and not worry about the lottery. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess I'll sign up for Hard Rock in June. Why doesn't happen anymore? So that part of it, that's a growing pain as far as is like the way I look at it. But you have to find a way around that. And I think, with the lotteries are really the only way around it. So you do that. And, the big explosion of when UTMB came on the scene, which I think was around 2005 or 6 or 4, somewhere in there. I heard about it. And one of my friends, Brandon Zabrowski, ran the first one. He came in second. I think there's 400 people in that race that year. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, yeah, something like that. And then it blew up. And then I went over there in 2000, I think 7. And that's where I met Nico Mahmoud, the founder of Hoka. And at the time, I was one of the faster guys. I had that was my chance to win it, Mateo. I was there. I was in the lead briefly at almost 5 Lake Champex. And anyway, I failed to finish the race. But at the same time, that's when it sort of exploded, I think, in Europe. And now look at it now. Now it's the World Series. It's a global thing. Runners are traveling around the world to run races. When for me, when I was in it, the early 2000s, I wasn't traveling to Europe to run a race. I'm like, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Anything like that was a lot of money too. So I just basically raced in the US. But when I went over to UTMB and got my ass kicked, mostly by the mountains, but the Alps are the Alps. I mean, they're my favorite range to date. Anyway, it was an eye opener, and
Yeah.
then the thrills of the people and the crowds and the energy in Chamonix that week is just unparalleled. And, there's still going to be more growing pains. There's always the question of, we don't need to talk about this much, but there's the drug testing thing, and there's
Mhm.
everything, all these things that come into the scene that make it complicated. It's good for the sport to grow, but there's always, I've recently moved from Salt Lake City to Ridgeway, Colorado, from a city has trails right out the door. There's so many people there now. It's so busy, 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 and now I live in a place where if I go to a trail, I saw one person today when I went for a run.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that now, and I wish the world would stay like that. I wish it would sort of be like that, but at the same time, it's just not going to do that.
Mm.
So you have to embrace it the way it is, and and try to enjoy it that way too. I mean, there's ways to get around that stuff.
Yeah.
It's growing and it's good, and I love to see times getting faster. The things that people are doing. I mean, to run the UTMB under 20 hours, hard rock in 21 hours. It's just mind boggling
Mm.
how fast it has gotten, and how, I mean, European racing too is different. Everybody goes up fast there. Everybody just takes off,
Mhm.
And so, like, who survives to the end? We raced very differently in my day. We kind of went off slower. We hiked all the uphills easier, sort of saving it for the second half. But man, you go over to Europe, it's like you do that, you have no chance. Um, so and anyway, I can ramble on, but I like the way the sport is growing. It's just that, we just sort of had to navigate through the few pains that we have. And, I'm glad I was involved when it was small,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, that was wonderful. And there's always going to be that mom and pop race. There's plenty of those races out there. There's no shortage. And there's the big race, the UTMBs, the Laborados. I don't know, there's a lot of big races, Western states. It just depends what you like. I think
Yeah.
it's good for everybody to be able to have options both ways. And I think that's where it's at right now, which is, I think, the best scenario for everybody.
And is there a runner actually that you like to follow in the races? I think of Caleb Wilson, Ludovic Pomeré, and all the
Mhm.
names we can think of. Is there a special athlete that you like to follow today?
Well, I mean, I kind of like to follow a lot of them. I mean, there's what Killian's doing is amazing. Even now
Yeah.
his Colorado 14er thing, he's a little different. He's a little different breed. He can race at the front with anyone,
Mm.
anywhere. You always put your money down on him, and you're probably going to do all right. But then Caleb Olson at Western States. I mean, he's from actually Utah, where I lived for a while, and I just like to see. I mean, again, I'm that competitive guy, right? So the men and the women, and I love watching both of them, and I love watching them compete at the front. I mean, it's crazy that I'm older now and I can't be that guy with them,
Mm.
running with them. But I love to see guys put it out there.
Yeah.
Ludo Pomeray this year put it out there at Hard Rock. I mean, the guy's 50.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And a great finish at UTMB, sixth, I think. And Walmsley is so much faster than, like, my competition back in the day. I know Jim's best 5K on a track is 13:52.
Mm.
Now, if he's racing globally, 13:52 is pedestrian, right? But
Yeah.
my best was 16:20, and that was, I mean, not even remotely close to what Jim did.
Mm.
You're getting these faster, younger guys coming into the sport, and it's just making it faster. It's really cool. And one last thing about that is, like, when I first ran my hundreds, there might have been two or three people that were under the age of 30 that were even in the entire race.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an old man, old woman sport. And now it's like you have all these 20-year-olds that are just so fast and crazy.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot, and I think it's, like I said, it's good. It's good. It's good that's changing.
You had a lot of wins in 100 miles races. You were saying it a few minutes ago. Is there one race that stands out as truly unforgettable?
Um, well, sort of. This one goes back to 2001, which was Hard Rock. My second attempt at it. The first time I ran Hard Rock in '99, I was this young guy that nobody knew really. Well, I mean, I won Wasatch the year before, so some people knew me, but I went out a little bit faster than what they usually do at Hard Rock. And when I remember going through mile 12, called the KT aid station, a lady yelling at me, "You're going too fast. You're going to blow up." Blah blah blah. Blah. And, I'm just like, oh, whatever. And I blew up at mile 90. I dropped out in 99. Right. So, and she was right. At the end of the day, she was right. But I came back in 2001, and 2000, I was injured. I couldn't run. So I came back in 2001, and I was in town for a couple of weeks, just acclimatizing, hanging out, camping at 11,000 feet, enjoying 3 weeks of just running around and having a great time in San Juan. But I got wind that National Geographic and Sports Illustrated were doing a story on Hard Rock that year.
Mm.
Now, I don't remember how I got wind of it. I said to my buddy Scott, I said, it will be a good year to win the race, just
Mm.
because these two story is going to go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Um, I end up winning the race in 26:39. I broke the record by 2 hours and 55 minutes. And if you step back to that day, everyone in the crowd's like, no one will ever break that record. You'll die with that record, Karl. I'm like, I don't know if I'll die with the record, But what was monumental, what was such a memory to me is that I mentioned it to my buddy Scott, said it would be a good year to win. And then I crush everyone and win it by the guy that came in second, Hans Foote from New York City, ran 28:42, 2 hours behind me. But when I came into the finish line, I'm running down, I forgot the name of the road in Silverton, but I'm coming into the finish line, and there's 6 or 7 cameras on the tripods set up. Back in the day, they had to set up the big tripods and stuff, and no one was at the camera. And I'm coming down the road with my hands out to the side, like, well, where is everyone?
Yeah.
I mean, they knew I was coming. They got my split from the last aid station, so they knew I was coming eventually, but nobody was there until one guy ran out of the gym and got one clip. He hit the button one time to get the one photo of me coming down with my hands across saying, where is everybody? But that's what sort of opened the door to me saying like, hey, you are pretty good at this.
Mm.
You might be able to make something out of it, but that sort of boosted my career a lot. And even though that was my first, I won Wasatch before that, but the Hard Rock win was surely my first big win that put me more on the map.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that because the people were looking at me like I was some kind of freak after that. Like, who's this guy? 26 hours. We never thought that'd be possible. Breaking 30 was a big deal. And, yeah, that's the one I really remember the most. It's kind of like people remember the first time the most. Well, it wasn't my first win, but it was my first big sort of win that mattered. And I mean, I've got a lot of other wins that were great races where I ran really well and that kind of thing. But that was the one that really sticks in my head as being my favorite win of all time.
And during the tough parts of the race, what was the problem that you had the most that you had to solve? Was it the pace, the nutrition parts? What was the problem that you had?
Well, the first time I ran,
Yeah,
when I
and
dropped out,
the one that you had the most in your career.
I mean, when I won that race in 2001, what's crazy is back in those days, I don't use pacers now, but back in that day, I did have pacers. I had 3 pacers lined up: Ian Torrance, Dan McDowell, Pedro Pierce, and they're all really good runners. Ian's probably the most famous of all. He's a legend as well. But all 3 of them had to bail out, pacing me, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to run around the San Juans by myself in the dark, in a place that's pretty remote.
Mm.
But what I did is I just said to myself, this is the challenge, but you have to accept it. And I never had stomach problems. My stomach is always over all the years has always been pretty solid, which is great. I mean, it definitely helps. But solving the thing of like, okay, I got to do this myself was a big thing because nobody ran the race without a pacer. Everyone had help like that. And I go into the race, and my girlfriend at the time, she wasn't really a runner, so she really didn't even know what she was doing curling. So I was kind of on my own, and I busted it out. I had a great run, and that's not really a challenge of like what went really bad in a race, but that was one of the things I had to overcome. Going into the start line of this is an unknown place I'm going right now.
Yeah.
Because all the hundreds I ran before, which was a couple of Wasatches, I always had a pacer with me and stuff. And after 2004, when I won the race again, actually I didn't win the race. I dropped out that year, but Ian Torrance again was a pacer of mine. And, it's kind of funny that I was about mile 75 or something, and I threw up, which was rare for me, but I threw up what Ian called an alien out of my throat.
Okay.
And it's crazy. And it's sort of like, it turned me around to go actually drop out of the race. After I did that, I felt better. I should have kept going, but that's like the one time. That's like that was the first time I puked in a race. And then the only other time I've thrown up in a race was Hellbender just a couple years ago. I did for some weird reason. Then I was fine. But the challenges that I have are usually in your head. I dropped out of a number of hundreds. I've got 90 finishes, 105 starts, I think. So we're talking 14, 15 DNFs.
Yeah.
And maybe 10 of those were all in my head. Just like, talking yourself out of it. You're just not motivated. Those are the hardest ones to look back on, because those, I'd have my hundreds right now if I wouldn't have dropped out of those races. I could retire, right? But I mean, challenges of running hundreds is always going to be between your ears. And I'm a golfer, so that's all between your ears all the time too. If you hit it all right. So I love the challenges of coming out of the hole, and to bring back one other friend of mine who was sort of back of the packer, who was never a runner. The girl loves to run hundreds and loves to dig herself out of a hole. And she does it every race she runs. She's got to dig herself out of a hole. But she loves it. I think that's why us ultra runners all love it, is solving those problems are what's cool.
It's very interesting, and we can see that the mental part is also very, very strong during a race. And did you try to have like a mental preparation before races?
My best mental preparation would be to not really not overthink it, And as a coach, I'll always say, hey, don't overthink the race. That's really hard to tell someone not to overthink it.
Yeah.
Because they're putting spreadsheets together with times and splits and what you're going to eat and all these things. And I try to let that go and stay away. I try to stay away from media if I can. Sometimes that's not possible. Now it's easy, but back in the day, it was kind of hard to do that. But I usually would kind of lay low, and that was always my best approach to doing well. Whenever I put pressure on myself, UTMB, I had pressure on the second time I went back.
Yeah.
And I've always had pressure. I used to put a little target on the back of my shirt when I ran Hard Rock, saying I got a target on my back. And I'd put pressure on myself. And when I do that, I don't do as well. So my best approach was always to be quiet. Don't worry about it. Just start to run off and see how it goes, and be smart. Don't blast off the start line. I never do well if I go too hard off the front. So I would always do better off the back a little bit, and just be efficient. Don't get caught up in the conversations of like at aid stations and things like that. Another big tip for people is, don't have a crew of 10 people, because they'll all start asking you questions, and then what happens? And you're there for 15, 20 minutes and you don't even know it. So I always try to like be really efficient with what I do, but always stay low behind the scenes a little bit, and then just hopefully emerge in the front by the time I get to the finish line.
Your nickname is Speedgoat. Can you explain where did it come from and what does it mean to you today?
Yeah, well, it means a lot to me today, but we'll get to that in a second. But when that name came to fruition, I was driving home from the Pikes Peak Marathon, my friend Scott Mason and Dan O'Connor, just two good buddies of mine still. And we're driving home, and we saw a jackrabbit cross the road. And we're just kind of fumbling. We're just in the car driving down Highway 70, which is main highway. And I said, that looks like a speed goat. And my buddy Scott started laughing, and Dan started laughing like, oh my God, this is the greatest name ever. And I was like, so it kind of stuck with that. We kind of laughed and joked about it a little bit, and I said to myself, man, that would be a great name for a shoe. We're talking 1993 when we said this. This is a long time ago. And, I sort of bottled that up in my head. I'm like, and then what happens maybe 7 or 8 years, and maybe 8 years later at the Zane Grey 50 mile, the race director put me in, I signed up as Karl Meltzer, of course, but he signed me in as the Wasatch Speedgoat. Wasatch Mountains are where I was running in Speedgoat. And he put that in there, and I was just like, who's this guy calling me Speedgoat,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty good name. So it sort of stuck. And then over time, I started to sort of use it a little. And, then eventually it sort of kind of stuck with me, like old nicknames, they're all kind of like that. And then the idea of the shoe just came up when I was, again, the shoe idea was 1993, but it actually came to fruition walking around the outdoor retailer show in Salt Lake City, talking to the president of Hoka, who I thought was just a guy working the booth. I didn't even know he was president. I was just chatting with this guy, Jim. And I said, wouldn't it be cool to have a shoe named Speedgoat? And he's like, I like that idea. That's pretty good. Let's make it happen. And then he told me who he was. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I said the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, good opportunity.
And then that started in the works. And then took a little while, of course, to get it going, but that's how the name came about, was the Jackrabbit thing. And then just keeping that name alive a little bit as my career progressed, just got me to where it is now. And now it's like, I have a shoe named after me. That's, Michael Jordan has a shoe named after him. He's made a hell of a lot more money than I have. but the whole thing is that when I see those shoes on someone's feet, which I do almost daily when I go for a run, and then it could be on some woman walking her dog at the park. It could be on the guy sitting us down at the table at the restaurant. It'd be the guy at the shop in town. They don't know it's me, all the time, of course, right? But at the same time, it's like, I'd always want to say, hey, that's my shoe. Hey, that's my shoe. I don't do that. Do that. But it's like, it's an honor beyond like anyone can even imagine, that shoe is global and it's on a lot of people's feet. And it's my nickname. What can I say? It's Hoka has supported me in a great way with that too. It's like, it's not like I said, I'm not Michael Jordan here, but I'm going to retire soon, and I'm okay. Let's just say that. So yeah, it's such an honor. It's so cool to see those things on people's feet. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, for my part, it was the model which I started trail running with.
See,
and actually, this is still the shoes that I buy because I'm used to it. So yeah, that's crazy. And what was your role in the development of the shoe itself?
Yeah, in the very beginning. So the first version was in my opinion, was the worst version, but that's just how you evolves, right?
Yeah.
My main thing was, I'm not a shoe designer, so I can't go on a computer with some program and say, this is what we do. But my suggestions were basically soft, because I like soft. I've always liked a soft shoe. Began with the Montreal test in 1999, and that was a unique soft shoe back then. But I wanted soft. I wanted traction. Obviously, I wanted comfort, but it was mostly about the soft and the traction. And the lug design thing, that evolves over time too. But initially, that was like what I cared about the most. And I let Jason, the lead designer at the time, come up with the upper, because that's just, I wasn't the guy that made uppers for shoes, but I knew what I wanted on the bottom, So I had a good roll with the amount of foam and the softness of it, and then the traction, and then Hoka sort of did the rest. And then now it's sort of like we're going into, we've got 6 versions now. We're going into 7. 7's it's being worked on. And, every time you make a new version, it's always a little different than the last. And some like it, some don't. And that's just how the world turns.
Yeah.
But yeah, my thing is like, all I can really do now, because it's gotten such a big thing, is I can throw in my 2 cents. I test the ones before they go out and throw into my 2 cents of what I like, what I don't, what I think could change it, and then we come up with a product. And Hoka's been really cool that they could very easily say, hey, Karl, we'll just do something else,
Yeah.
But they've trusted me in my comments and stuff like that. And sometimes they'll do what I suggest, and sometimes not. But at the end of the day, it's just a team effort. It's not just one guy at Hoka doing it either. It's their whole team. I don't even know everybody on the whole team, but it's cool that I've always been a part of each version to some degree.
Yeah,
and that's
important.
That's like an honor.
Yeah. And you also created the Speedgoat 50K. talking about this nickname. What inspired you to design your own race?
Yeah, well, the Speedgoat 50K, that started from the events director at Snowbird. I was still bartending.
Yeah.
And he came down and sat at the bar, and he likes his tequila. And we were a Mexican restaurant. We had all kinds of tequila. So I served him a few margaritas. And he's like, hey, my career that was 2006 or 7. So that was at my peak of my best times.
Mm.
And he's like, he had a race actually a few months before, called the Silver Spur, and there was only 17 people in it.
Mm.
And he said, it was a great course, but very, 17 people. And he's like, you think you could get a race here? I'm like, I can get 100 people here in a sec. No problem. And he was like, really? 100 people? I was like, dude, piece of cake. And so then the wheels started turning. And so I know Snowbird very well. I've skied it for 20 years. I know every nook and cranny, every tree, every road, every trail. So I designed this course on Snowbird. And the first, we finally put it all together and stuff. And we made a ton of mistakes. The registration process was all over the place. We got checks in the mail for registration. Who gets that now, right?
Mm.
But I had plenty of support with friends to help volunteer for aid stations, things like that. So that was easy actually. And it was a big old mess. Karl trying to do everything by himself, for the most part, people are running all over the place. But we did it, and we had 112 people on the start line, so we got that 100. And then every year we tried to say, oh, how do we improve this?
Mm.
The course. But my focus behind the course though was not to have this. At the time in the U.S., there was a lot of 50Ks, a lot of races, but there was no really hard race, like no hard 50K.
Mm.
So I'm like, I'm going to make this one hard. So my goal was to steep climbs, a lot of climbs,
Yeah.
mentally put the climbs mentally in a tough place. Now it has a perfect flow to the race where it's great,
Mm.
and it's been great for 7 or 8 years now where the flow is perfect, and the race is really hard, and it's a mentally disturbing adventure sometimes for some people. But that was the whole idea, was to make it hard, and it was unique at the time because there were no other races doing that. And then, those early years, the Skyrunning, called the Skyrunning Federation, contacted me and wanted my race to be part of it. And it was for a few years. And that was also helped my race get bigger too, because they brought some Europeans over. Killian ran, Killian and a bunch of other Europeans ran, and that made it grow a little bigger too. But again, it was I wasn't thinking model it after a European race because I didn't really know European races as well back then. I just wanted the people to come to my terrain where I train,
Mm.
and get spanked and get hurt and make it hurt. This is what I do. This is where I train. So yeah, and now it's evolved to where I sold the race, which that was never a plan.
Yeah.
But I just kind of randomly too. And I think, at this time of my life, it was great for me to be able to do that because it's a big race. And I'm still involved. I'm still involved with the race every year and stuff, but I just don't have those responsibilities of the liability and everything. It's now I'm ready to kind of just be the guy that goes there and helps out. But it's really cool to see what they've done with it. And the fact that it's gotten to where it is really, it's just like the shoe. It's an honor to see it be one of the iconic bucket list races for people
Mm.
in the U.S. and maybe for some globally. It was a cool idea from the guy sitting at the bar, having a margarita, shoot the shit about a race. And then 20 years later, we're here talking about it like it's one of the biggest ones, in the world.
Mm.
Never expected that to happen, but stuff falls in my lap. So there you go.
And even the fact that you wanted to do a hard race is cool, because I think that when you run this race, you have the full Speedgoat experience. And
Absolutely.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to be hard, man. And a lot of, I've done a cool thing too, is that not everybody, but a lot of elite runners have run there. The record of 4:57, David Sinclair 2 years ago, is absolutely mind-boggling fast.
Mm.
it blows my mind. When I was kind of figuring out aid stations, I ran it when I was in, my top form. I ran it hard. My wife crewed me, and I did it in like six. It was a different core, a little different, but I did it in like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And, now they're doing it in 5 hours, and it's harder than it was when I ran in six. And, that was just the whole vision, like people like to accomplish hard things. And, it might only be 50K, but the majority of people that finish that race is after 9 hours. That's a pretty, pedestrian 50K if you put it on a flat course,
Yeah.
right? Of course, right? So, yeah, I love it. I mean, I love watching people. I love to say I like watching them suffer, and then they like to slap me at the finish line. But that's just how it is.
What role does trail running play in your life today?
Well, I'm not as competitive as I used to be. So my role in trail running is more. I'm a coach now. I mean, like I said, I've been coaching for 17 years, so quite a while now. But I like helping people get better, and it's not just like how you can get faster, but it's how you can enjoy it too. Um, I'm a laid back person. I'm humble. I like to see people improve. And so I'm sort of looking for the right word here, a mentor, if
Yeah.
mentor is the right word. I like to mentor people to go out there and just get off your butt and go out and do something. It doesn't have to be running, it could be riding or whatever. That's sort of my role now because I'm not winning anything anymore.
Mm.
I mean, if I win a race, everyone else went their own way or something. So, so I don't know, but my goal now is just to keep doing what I'm doing, show people that longevity is important. I've been doing this for 30 years, and there aren't many people out there that have done it for as long as I have. There's some, of course, but people can do things if they put your mind to it. You can do it, and I hope to be that role model for a lot of people that can understand. Like when I'm 60 and I still run, which might be my 100th, and when I'm 60, that people can still do it. Don't give up.
Mm.
Don't give up and just sit on the couch. I mean, you live once,
Yeah.
so live once, die later. Just don't do anything too stupid to end that life early. But don't take those crazy risks. But whatever you're comfortable with, of course. But I mean, I want to see people just get outside and do things instead of just sitting around. I mean, I hate seeing people on their phones. I'm on my phone too, here and there, but at the
Mm.
same time, when someone's walking down the trail and they're looking at the phone because their little blue dot is following the line on their phone, I mean, shouldn't you be looking at the wilderness, not your phone?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of silly, but anyway, I hope people can just get out and put their phone away, and it's okay to bring it with you, of course, but just try to put it away and enjoy the outside instead of the technology. That there's so much technology out there now. It's over the top. I still run with a Casio watch. I don't have GPS on
Yeah.
the
Okay.
watch.
You don't have any Garmin or anything.
No, I just a regular watch tells time. And that's all I need to know, but that's just me. And I get it with the technology, but sometimes it's good to disconnect.
Mm. And also, you began without everything, so of course you're not used to
Right.
it. So you don't need it.
And I don't need it. And teaching a guy like me who's very stubborn, doesn't want to learn anything on his damn phone,
Yeah.
I'm fine with the Casio. I mean, it's so funny, Mateo. It took me a while to not too long, but learn how to text and Gmail, all these other little apps on your phone and stuff like that. So I'm like, how do you use that? I grew up in an age where we just didn't have any of that stuff. So anyone that even in their 30s now knows all that stuff. And, I didn't grow up with that. So like, I'm not, it's like me telling my parents to get a new iPhone. What's
Yeah.
that? They got their flip phone, that's just, I'm just at the age where I didn't have that when I was young. So I don't feel like I need it now, even in today's world. I still don't think I need it. Just give me a paper map and a Casio watch, and I go anywhere I want to go and not get lost every time.
But you still found the Google Meet for today's podcast, and that's the good
Yes.
thing.
I mean, I use Google Maps on my phone. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
If I go to a city, I don't know where I'm going. I mean, that thing saves everybody, right? I mean, think about just a funny story. I went to Miami to do one talk one time years ago, and at the time, that was when the rental car place would rent you like a little Garmin that you put on your dashboard to tell you where you're going.
Mm,
Of course, they don't know how to use it. You just, here you go,
mm,
I can't imagine trying to get around with a paper map
yeah.
around Miami when I'm trying to meet somewhere downtown. I mean, well, yeah, I use my phone and technology too, but I try to stay away. I only have one screen worth of apps on the front of my phone instead of scrolling through screens, so I don't have that much on it. But yeah, I think everyone though should learn how to use a paper map.
Yeah,
Just
true.
yeah, they should. But anyway, yeah.
And even outside of running, do you have any races or adventures that you still want to do, like your next
Um,
goals?
yeah, I mean, outside of running, like I want to finish in terms of running. I want to finish 100 hundreds because I've got 10 more to go. My next
Yeah.
one is I Am Tough, which is in 2 weeks. So that's sort of I don't know if we'll call it my final goal of running, but that would be a monumental number because no elite runner has hit that pinnacle.
Mm,
I won 50 times. I don't think anyone's going to catch that either. But honestly, that doesn't matter so much to me anymore. But just get to that 100. But then beyond that, if I wanted to do an adventure that I still would like to do on my own, this would be by myself, would just to to backpack the Appalachian Trail. I know I've done it a few times, but to backpack the Appalachian Trail like a normal person,
yeah.
not a record, not trying to go fast. I'd probably walk 25, 30 miles a day anyway,
Mm,
because that's what I do. But just to do that on my own, I like doing things on my own like that. And to deal with the challenges of whether it's weather or gear or whatever, I kind of still want to do the AT like that alone. But as far as other real adventures, I really like the fact that I play golf 3 or 4 times a week now, and I wasn't doing that the last number of years. But I really love playing golf. It's just a hobby.
yeah.
But I mean, every time I get up at the first tee, I'm like, well, another day at the office. Here we go. And I tee it up, go out there for 4 hours is beautiful. I like the fact that I don't have to. Um, I'm not going to say work because I do coach. But that's from home.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that I can, when I wake up every morning, I don't necessarily have to be anywhere at any time,
Yeah.
in most cases. So that's the beauty of life. I think when you reach that pinnacle, that you're financially you're okay, and you don't have to listen to or have anybody tell you what to do or where to go. And I think you've succeeded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched about it.
And how many athletes are you coaching right now?
Right now, I just have 20 on the nose,
Yeah.
which is a good number. I've had in the past. I've had up to 50,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is a lot.
Yeah.
Which means all day long you're busy. But I like 20 because you can interact with your athletes a little bit
Mhm.
more and not feel like you're being too quick or whatever. 20 is a good number right now, and I
Yeah.
think that's right. I like it to stay. I don't overcharge people. Don't under. I think
Mhm.
I'm very reasonable. And I've got plenty of knowledge in here, especially about just efficiency and how to get the best out of what you have, because everyone's different.
Yeah.
That's the 20 is really is a really good number. A lot of coaches have a lot more, but I'm not so interested in just the financial benefits of it. I'm just 20 is good. That way I'm
Mm.
allowed to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this today.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about the rest of it. That's the most important part to me, is being able to do what I want to do during the day and not be stuck in front of the screen all day long.
Mm. And when you had 50 of them, were you talking to them every day or just sending the training plan and that's it because there were so many?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you just send training plans, right? But what I do a bi-weekly plan. So if you have 50, we'll say you have 50 and make it easy. Then every week you're doing 25 plans, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Which is plenty. But I had a good system down, for that many. But the idea is that most of or probably 95% of my athletes that do the best are the ones that communicate the most.
Mm.
Some people are higher maintenance than others, and that's perfectly fine. It all balances out, Some people just want that schedule, and they have a schedule. They know what they need to do. They feel like they're almost sometimes, hey, Karl, sorry to bother you, but I'm like, you're not bothering me when you're coming to me with a question. This is why you pay me. I'm trying to help you. So I kind of let the emails and the conversations come as they will during the day, and some days wouldn't be as busy as others. And then phone calls would always be, you want a phone call anytime,
Yeah.
well, not anytime, but we work it out. We get a time.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, it was when it was 50, I have, a list of every client and what they're doing, of course, and all that kind of stuff. So I just have to go back to my notes a fair amount of times because 50 is too many to
Yeah.
know it all the way. And, 20 is, 20 is actually, I know everybody and I know like what their deal is, what their strengths, weaknesses, when they're working, all that kind of stuff. It's not that difficult. Once you've had it for a little while, you got to figure it out.
Mhm. And what advice would you give to the next generation of runners that maybe wants to and dream to follow your path and do the same thing as you have done?
Well, I mean, like you said, follow your path. I mean, follow your path to what you want, what you want in life. I mean, try not to let. I'm not going to say be selfish because that's not the right word.
Mm,
But I've always, we've heard the thing when you get on an airplane, when the mask drops, put it on your mouth first, and then hand the next one to the guy next to you. Right? This is always my analogy because it's kind of true. Because if you don't put yours on first, then you might be the guy that dies, and you know what I mean.
yeah.
So my thing is like, do what you want to do first. Try to be yourself, be kind, that kind of, all those kind of good things. But it's important to do what you love. If you can find a way to make a living from doing what you love, then it's called success.
Mm,
If you make a living for 30 years and you're making $9 million a year and you live on the big house on the hill, but you're miserable all the time, to me, that's failure because you're not doing what you want to do. You may have a big bank account, but who cares?
yeah.
You would follow your passion, follow what you like to do, and make it happen. You can make it happen. It's not everybody's going to be Tony Jornet. Not
Mm,
everybody's going to be Karl Meltzer or Jim Walmsley or Anna Frost or Courtney Dauwalter. But just find out what you like to do best and go for it. I
yeah.
mean, the bottom line is like, I had bus tables for a long time. That's a crap job, but I got to ski every single day. I skied
Mm,
120 days a year for 10 years. And I mean, I was skiing powder up in my waist all the time while my friends were going to school, or not
mm,
just going to school, but they had a real job and they couldn't even go out on a Saturday and do anything because they had to work overtime.
yeah.
And I'm out there skiing powder just because I was busting tables. So like, I followed to do what I wanted to do, and it molds your life for when you get older. And you learn a lot. You learn a lot of things about common sense and about how the world turns. By being in the mix instead of just looking online or reading about it. It's just get out there and do it and get involved and stuff like that. And you learn more about yourself that way and what you really want in life.
To finish this podcast, I ask you the question that I ask each guest. If you had to summarize trail running in one word or one sentence, what would it be?
Freedom,
Freedom, yeah.
chaotic freedom. I don't know. And trail running is to me is bliss. It's life to me. It's what I love. But one word is hard. It's just like, to me, it's the greatest thing that happened to me, and I'm very fortunate to have the genes that I've had. I grew up with, and I got to thank mom and dad for that one, I suppose. But um, it's trail running is a wonderful sport, a wonderful community, and I don't think there's one person that will get on the sport that will say, "Oh, this sucks."
Mm,
No one will ever say that
yeah.
about trail running, because when you're in the woods or the mountains or the deserts or whatever, just pinch yourself and say where you could be right now.
Mm,
Running has made anyone who's a trail runner who gets out of the mountains has made their life a little bit better, probably. Not one word, but that's kind of my summarize.
perfect. Karl, thank you for being here today on the podcast. It was such an honor to have you, and that's so cool to receive people that can share their journey, their passion, and take time. So yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, thanks, Mateo. I really appreciate you reaching out, and glad we made this hook up. Yeah, continue on. Let me know where podcast runs, and I'll shout it out to people.